I want to shift now and talk about this tornado candle factory and bring into the conversation Democratic strategist Amar Campa-Najjar. We were having some trouble with Amar's audio before. The wonders of technology, folks, while we're dealing with COVID. So happy to have Amar. I want to revisit what happened last week. There were tornadoes, lots of tornadoes across the country. 6 people were killed at an Amazon warehouse and at least 8 in a candle factory in Mayfield, Kentucky. But now workers at the candle factory say they begged their managers to leave as news of the coming storm spread, but they were told they would lose their jobs. And instead, many lost their lives. Katie, this has to be illegal. This is so tragic to hear what people were going through. Is there some sort of legal repercussion for the employer who made people stay there in harm's way?
Yeah, so let's be clear. The employer is denying that this happened, but it does strike some type of curiosity that there would be at least 6 or 8 employees that would say that this is what happened. But to answer your question, yes, there is at a minimum civil liability for the deaths and the injuries that were sustained for these factory workers, these employees who allegedly said they heard the first warning sirens, begged to leave, were told to shelter in place, and then when it became clear that there was a window of opportunity to escape, they were told if you left, the retaliation would be you would be terminated from employment. I would also hazard, Tiffany, that there is going to be, I know Governor Beshear has said that there's an investigation that's going on, but I know that there's going to be some type of criminal investigation. And the reason why is you cannot have this level of gross negligence and not be culpable as the employer if you put your employees in harm's way knowingly. Of course, we don't know where tornadoes go, Tiffany, but you know what? At a minimum, you are required to provide, from a civil standpoint, a safe work environment. But even from a criminal analysis standpoint, if you're the employer, you cannot intentionally make those people that are in your care and custody because you've ordered them to stay. You cannot risk physical harm to them. So if I'm the employer, I would definitely be lawyering up and I would be nervous.
Yeah, and how heartless do you have to be? Amar, we actually had Kiana Parsons-Perez last week on our air. She was at that candle factory. It was her 40th birthday, and she revealed something that we all found quite shocking about who was helping save lives that night. Take a listen.
There were people in jail, from jail, Graves County Jail, that worked there. They allowed them to work there. And I remember there was one inmate in particular. He was digging and he was breaking the drywall and he was trying to get people out. But I'm just grateful because they could have took that time. You know, if it had been me, I'd probably been trying to run for my freedom, not trying to help nobody, you know. But I'm grateful that they stayed and that they were helping. I mean, and they were working hard. They were working hard.
Let's talk about stolen labor. I mean, this is when you think about who overpopulates prisons, it's black and brown folks with an emphasis on black folks and the 13th Amendment of this Constitution. This was devastating to hear, Amar. What's your take?
Absolutely. You know, as the son of a union mom, as someone who grew up working as a janitor, as someone who served President Barack Obama in the Department of Labor, this is egregious to hear that this happened. And I can't imagine, you know, last year I had to evacuate myself, my mom, and my stepdad from the fires in San Diego. And I can't imagine if we had to choose between our lives and our livelihoods. We'd choose our lives. But the last thing that you want to think about is, am I going to lose my job for trying to protect myself? And how am I going to rebuild from the rubble? And that's what these people are having to grapple with. It's unfortunate. It's heartbreaking. And, you know, I'm not surprised that formerly incarcerated and currently incarcerated people were the first ones to get out there and try to save lives. When I was at the Department of Labor, we learned that those who are trying to re-enter society are the hardest working people. And they're very selfless once given the second chance. So it is heartbreaking to hear that people who are incarcerated were having to get out there and try to save lives. And I hope that helps us understand people who are incarcerated aren't just not worthy of a second chance. If anything, that shows that people like them deserve that.
Yeah, absolutely. Roland, you're joining us, like I said, from the Celebration Bowl, the football game between the HBCUs there in Atlanta. And I think about the folks there who will graduate trying to get good jobs. And you think about the employers who, again, are exploiting this labor. Inmates or incarcerated people in Kentucky were paid 18 to 24 cents an hour. There were some people that were paid as little as $2.25 a day with this kind of labor. This has to stop. This really is revisiting the 13th Amendment. And this is disgusting to see. What's your take?
I've lived through 3 hurricanes, and I can tell you a tornado is even more devastating because it jumps upon you without any warning whatsoever, very limited warning. And what we have to come to grips with here, we've got to come to grips with in this country, is that capitalism has been focused so much on, it's been about money, 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 as opposed to the human being, as opposed to what's right, what's fair, what's just. And that's been a problem in this country, and we must contend with that, and we must challenge these companies that are benefiting from this free labor. That is wrong. It is not right, and unfortunately, we have too many people who want cheap products. In order to get cheap products, you need to have cheap labor, and that's what we're dealing with right now in America.